You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're joined by a guest who not only excels in the world of podcasting, but also embodies the spirit of true connection and balance in every aspect of her life. Of course, I am Phil Better, the podcast mogul, but this is not about me. It's about my guest, who is a wife, a mother, a self-proclaimed hockey mom. So you know I already love her. She understands the juggling act of personal and professional life better than most. More than just managing, she thrives by embedding genuine connections with her audience at the heart of her podcasting philosophy. She's here to show us that success in the digital space isn't just about hitting numbers, but of making impact and authentic connections. Our guest today has developed a revolutionary framework known as the BCAME framework, BCAME, which has guided many podcasts towards achieving not only their goals, but also maintaining a balanced, fulfilling life. The framework, This framework emphasizes balance, communication, authenticity, mindset, mastery, and of course, empowerment. Each pillar a stepping stone to not just professional success, but personal satisfaction as well. From fostering open dialogue to encouraging a resilient, growth-oriented mindset, she has empowered numerous podcasters to navigate the challenges and celebrate the victories of their podcasting journey. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just starting out, her insights are designed to transform your approach and elevate your impact. With a warm, inclusive philosophy that invites you to share a virtual chai latte, she's just a guide. She's a fellow traveler on the path to podcast success. Let's dive into the world of impactful podcasting with the visionary creator of BCAME, Aeoliana Elliott. Aeola, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks. Holy shit. That was like a great intro. I feel like I'm wearing a movie now.
Oh, you're very welcome.
That was like so cool.
I generally, like, we talked a bit beforehand. I'm a fan of rap music, and I never thought I could be a rapper because I cannot rap that fast and mixing words together, not really. But I like the hype man because he just jumps on, starts, then walks off, and every once in a while just goes, yo, or just drops a word in and everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm down with the hype man. I love that.
That's why, as a host, that's how I view myself. You're the main star. You're the rapper. I'm the hype man. I hype you up and then let you take over.
Yeah, I love that. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
To be here.
I'm excited because, again, I get to geek out with a fellow podcast nerd, if you will, a savant in the podcasting world.
Yeah. Nerds in so many other ways too. I mean,
yes.
We can riff on a lot of things that we have on. So
we have movies, music, podcasting. We have probably actors and actresses we can geek out.
Hockey. You said
hockey, of course. Yes, I'm a huge. I'm on.
No, wait. That depends. What's your team?
You're gonna hate me. I'm on the East Coast. I'm from Montreal. So what do you think my team is?
Oh God, shit! You're a Canadian.
Yeah,
You're Canadians?
Yeah, I'm
You're Canadians fan? No, not that you're Canadian. You're Canadians fan? My husband's family is from Montreal, but we are not Canadians fans. But I will say I prefer the Canadians fans over Toronto fans 1,000 times over. Nothing wrong to Toronto. I'm not a fan of Austin Matthews. I'm not a fan of Austin Matthews. I can't stand him.
It's fine. I fully understand. I have a hate relationship for the city of Toronto, but that's because I'm a Montrealer. That's the only reason. Like, apart from that, like, Toronto's an okay city if you want, but because of the hockey team, they go down. But what team are you? Before we continue, I have to see.
We're Tampa. So
Okay,
I'm a Lightning fan. Yeah.
I can forgive you for that. We have St. Louis here.
You do, and you have Le Cavalier too, who I met. I had a tour of the facility over here when he was here. I won a contest and I got to tour. This is before I had my son, so he didn't get it. But my husband and I got to tour the Lightning facility over here and all that stuff. So yeah, you got a couple of and Cole Caulfield is a badass.
Oh,
love him.
He's doing great.
Love him. So yeah, I've got probably the only two teams that I'm anti is Pittsburgh, but more because of Crosby. I hate
on
about
Canadians
every turn.
Right.
I hate on every turn. And then Toronto. Those are the two teams that I'm like vehemently opposed to. Everybody else I'm cool because I at least have one player on the team that I enjoy.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Absolutely.
Toronto and Boston are mine. But that's because of Montreal. Like the historic rivalry with games. But Toronto is always up there number one because it's Toronto and Montreal. Simple as that.
Right.
It's history. Like there's so much bad blood. But we're not going to talk hockey. Even though I'm pretty sure we can have like 8 episodes on hockey. We're here about you and your journey in podcasting and entrepreneurship. So I want to know, Aeola, why did you jump into the world of entrepreneurship? What was it that spurred you into this crazy journey that we're in?
Okay. So I have been an avid podcast fan since 2015, 2016. I love true crime podcasts, and that's what I was listening to back then. In 2019, I was working as a paralegal in a law firm, and I was in the hospital with a double kidney infection, and the law firm fired me while I was in the hospital.
That's fun.
So this was right before, like we're going to call it Thanos time with COVID. And where you snapped your fingers and
the world stopped. It just stopped.
So I literally had to figure out what to do. I had to figure out what am I going to do with this? I'm not employed anymore. Nobody was really hiring. My brother was working for a construction company and said, come work here. And so while I was there, we were considered essential workers because here in Florida, construction was considered an essential job because, people need houses built when there's health problems. That's really important. I say that with all the sarcasm in the world.
I couldn't sense a drop of sarcasm. Not at all. I couldn't feel it.
I used my sarcastic tone there. So I started listening to podcasts more on a learning perspective. So I learned how to do VA work. I learned how to edit, produce, publish. I did a lot of mindset stuff. And that's how I dove in to doing podcasts. So initially I started editing them for people on Upwork and stuff like that. And then I had a client that I was helping out. And she goes, you don't really, you do a great job with the editing, but you do a lot more with getting people to figure out what they want, like their strategy. So you should consult on strategy and not so much on the editing. And in 2023, I jumped into actually just doing the strategy. And then I'm slowly forming the framework that you talked about, the Became framework, because I was noticing that I was using a lot of those aspects to help people with launching their podcasts. Because most of my clients are women who are moms and who work. I work full time on top of doing the podcast launch strategy. I'm a paralegal as well. So, I have a husband, I have a son, he plays hockey, I work, I have my entrepreneur business and all that stuff. So being able to figure out that good work-life balance and still be able to pursue my passion was something really important to me to help other people do, and doing it while still being myself instead of pretending to be someone I'm not. And then feeling empowered while I'm doing it. You know, sometimes we hear that you really shouldn't focus on your mistakes, or you really shouldn't look at your mistakes, or people don't make mistakes. It's, you know, it's bad. But I found that the more mistakes you make, it means you're doing something, like you're taking action and you're learning from those mistakes. So I find, make all the mistakes you want, get messy, do the thing. You know, with our son, we tell him all the time, we're like, okay, you either learn or you get the result that you wanted. So you either scored a goal or you figured out what's not going to work. And the next time you do it, maybe you don't deke to the right, maybe you deke to the left. And so that's been kind of, and I'm all about communication. I think the more you communicate, the less there's misconceptions, and the more you realize that people, like, we're more alike than we are different. I think a lot of society now wants to try to tell us that we're more divided, but the more you talk to people, the more you realize everybody's going through the same shit. Everybody's dealing with the same stuff. We're just doing it in different levels at different times in our lives, but everybody goes through the shit on a regular basis. Like, no one's exempt, whether you're living on the street or whether you're a multimillionaire. The struggles are the same. They just come out in different ways. So that's me in a nutshell. I love Marvel. I love Broadway. Like you said, I'm a hockey mom. My husband and I have been married. Next week, it'll be 19 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're actually planning a trip to Montreal next year. My son wants to go there for his 13th birthday. That's what he wants his birthday to be.
Oh, that's awesome. Please when you're here, please let me know. I would love to show you around my city.
Oh my God, I would love to. I would love that. I was like, oh shit, I don't know anything about Montreal. Like, damn it.
I'll take him to the citadel of hockey itself, you know, the epicenter of hockey.
That is why he wants to go.
Yeah, I'll show him to I'll show him to the Bell Center, then I'll show him the old Forum, which is now a movie theater, which is really weird.
And whatever makes the paycheck, you can try anything into anything, I guess, it's around true. Nowadays. So
yeah. I love that. Yeah, no, I'm looking for, when you, please make sure you hit me up, because I would love to show you around and meet you in person.
I will. Yes, that sounds fun.
Okay, enough about hockey.
Next, we're moving on. We're moving on.
Stay away from the hockey. When you started listening to the podcast to learn to be a VA, you know, you started your entrepreneurial journey there. That was interesting, because most people already knew about VAs or found out about being a VA through friends and family and that. How did you find out about being a VA?
Actually, this is so meta. Listening to podcasts. I had no idea what a VA was. Like, no idea. And with podcasting too, I had no idea all the work that goes into doing a podcast. Like, I literally just thought that you record and then it's out there in the world. I had no idea that there was editing, there's, you know, marketing, there's, you know, you have to have a platform to release it, the RSS feeds, all that stuff. I didn't know anything about anything. Nothing.
And so you went into a deep dive.
I did. I did.
I'm curious to know, because a lot of different people in the podcasting world, when they come, they either stay in their lane when they have their podcast, or they jump over and they start creating courses to launch podcasts and all that. Who was your mentor, guru, Sherpa, if you will, in the podcasting world?
So I won't mention the first one because it did not turn out well.
Okay.
I bought her course. I paid for it. I went through it. And one of the things on the course said, there's going to be weekly calls. And there's, you know, if you have any questions, you can come to us and ask questions. And after I paid the money, went through the course, started asking questions and realizing there is no support. Like there is no one here. No one's answering my question. I don't know what to do. The content was great. The information was great. And I remember I emailed her and I was like, hey, where are the calls? What's going on? And she's like, oh, we've decided that this is more of a do it yourself kind of thing. But they didn't change the price. The price was still including all that other stuff. And she's like, I told my community that it was going to be more, done by yourself kind of thing. And I was like, well, you didn't tell those of us who signed up. So, a great person that I actually did listen to her podcast and learned a lot was Lauren Wrighton. She has a podcast manager. Her whole podcast is nothing. I think it's called the Podcast Manager Podcast. I think
Makes sense. It's a good name. Good name.
And she has a great course. I didn't sign up for her course because I learned so much just from listening to her podcast. But I have had a lot of people that I've heard have done it and they've learned a lot. And then my mindset stuff, I have Simona Costantini, who's actually in Toronto. And, or she was, I don't know where she moved to now, but she was based out of Toronto and she has her own agency where they launch and produce and do all that. And she's a good friend of mine and love her dearly. And, and then, just a lot of mindset ones. I have Anna Rapp, who's a heart-centered entrepreneur podcast, who I love listening to. And then my coach, I have a business coach. Her name is Faith Mariah. And those are all the people that in one way or another have influenced what I'm doing now.
I love that. I love how you also took an unfortunate failure, if you will.
Yeah.
We'll look at it kind of as a failure. It was your first attempt in learning. That's how I look at it. There's no such thing as a failure. It's a first attempt in learning. You learned purchasing something. You learned a lot from the purchasing process. You not only learned all the technical stuff, but you also learned, hey, I need to double check to make sure that it's it's worthwhile. And that's something that's very important for beginners to learn when it comes to your entrepreneurial journey. You have to make sure that you're getting what you paid for, in that sense, because it can leave a foul taste in your mouth and turn you off. Luckily,
don't give up. Like once you make that mistake, it took me a long time. Once I made that mistake, it took me almost a year to actually invest in another coach, because I was like, well, what if I invest the money like I did with the last one and it doesn't pan out the way I wanted to? Like, I'm not rolling in the dough. So, I'm like, I can't just keep forking out thousands of dollars for things when I don't know and so that was really, really hard for me to come to terms with, to finally open up. And it's almost like a relationship, like to open up and make myself vulnerable to allow someone else, to pay someone else to help me move my vision along. So don't think that, because you fail once, everybody sucks and you're going to be a failure forever. Just keep trying. You'll figure it out.
I love that. And that's a super important lesson to learn, because not every course, not every piece of material that you take will be beneficial to you, because you may not be the direct target audience, or the person who created the course may not have figured out who their target audience is.
Right.
So I love that not only did you got hurt, because this is a type of hurt, but I love how even though the pain from that, you were like, I still need to invest. I still need to look to improve myself. And even though it did take some time, you had to heal from that and build up the confidence, because when you start this journey, you have all the confidence in the world until you hit the wall, and then the confidence disappears. The fake it till you make it only works so much until adversity comes up.
And that wall comes quick and it's hard.
It is.
And 9 times out of 10, you don't see it coming.
No. It's like getting hit by Mike Tyson in his prime. It's true. I feel sorry
before or after the ear bite.
Either, to be honest. I wouldn't want to get hit by him now, or when he's 87 years old. Like, there's no point in my life that I feel that I could survive a hit from Mike Tyson.
And
and also Jake Paul wanting to choose to get hit by him is incredible. But we're not talking about Jake Paul. We're talking about you.
Yeah.
When you got your first client in the we'll go with podcasting, because as a VA, you can hit a lot of things. When someone came to you and was like, hey, I want you to take care of my podcast. How far into your journey was it? And what was your first immediate reaction to someone actively coming in asking you to manage their podcast?
It was relatively early, and the reaction was, oh shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. What the fuck? I have no idea. This person wants me to, she wanted me to redo her entire podcast from top to bottom. And I was literally like, imposter syndrome is my my troll of choice. And I was literally like, I'm putting out here that I know how to do this, and I do. But in that moment, it was like, I literally don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I have no idea. I'm not going to be able to give her what she needs. And yeah, that was my initial response. And it took a lot of work and a lot of, reminding myself that, I do know my shit. And whatever I don't know, I can learn. Whatever I don't know, I can resource to someone else. I can give them information, and ultimately they have to make the decision. They have to take the action. I can't do it all. So that was initial first gut reaction to my first client, and it's gotten better from there. There's still times where I'm like, okay, they want me to do this, but I don't know how to do that. And then I just research it. I'm really honest. I tell people if I don't know how to do something or I've never done something before, I'm very honest. I'm like, hey, I've never done that before, but if you're willing to, let's workshop it and see where it goes. Let's see, let's learn together. I don't ever want anyone thinking that, and this is probably from, the failure before, but I don't ever want anyone looking, when I'm showing them something, or I give them my course, or I'm doing a one-on-one with them, I don't ever want them walking away going, she promised more than she delivered. She said she was going to do this, and I understand less about it now than I did when I started talking to her. I want people to come away from the conversation thinking, wow, she gave me more than what she said she was going to. So I try really hard to provide more value than I actually tell you I'm going to give you. And I learned that from my business coach. She's notorious for hey guys, here's some free stuff all the time, all kinds of free stuff. And I'm like, oh, we don't have to gatekeep stuff. We can actually give people value and give people things. I don't have to be like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And then at the end of the course, but if you want to learn how to actually do it, here, buy my $3,000 course, versus, hey, here's a course. This is how we're going to do it. And I'm going to take you from point A to point B. And by the end of the course, you'll be able to have this thing done.
I love it.
Yeah.
I also love how a previous pain point became a source of inspiration for you.
Yeah.
Not only with learning from your current coach, but your previous coach taught you as well, hey, make sure you deliver on your promises, because if not, you're going to have buyer's remorse or bad taste in their mouth. When did you decide that you wanted to work with specifically mothers and busy mothers at that?
Probably the fact that I am one. So I think a lot of us get into entrepreneurship because we were missing something. There was something we wanted to do that when we were in that beginning space, we were missing. We needed that, whatever it is, whether it be support, community, teaching, whatever it is. I think a lot of us, when we get started from that point. I think a lot of people say that your ideal client is who you were 5 years ago or something like that, some number like that. And I believe that. I think a lot of what I tried to do, it's because I was missing it when I needed it. So whether that be balance, whether that be support, you know, delivering on my promises, not over promising and under delivering, things like that. You know, I learned you don't want people to go through the hardships you went through, because Lord knows they have their own hardships to go through. If you can make something a little bit easier for someone, you know, take that box off for them and, you know, let them know, hey, here's how I can help you. They can find the other help resources somewhere else, but it's one less thing they have to worry about.
I like that. I like that. And I want to touch on your Became framework, because it's central to your strategy in helping podcasters succeed. Could you tell me what inspired you to develop this particular framework, and how did did you determine that those 5 pillars were critical to a podcaster's success?
So I was looking at the questions I was getting a lot. I did some market research, and a lot of the questions I was getting were around those things. I think a lot of people, and no jab on them, on, you know, podcast strategists out there who are very keen on looking at the tech and looking at the actual physical part of the podcast. For me, being a mother and a wife and working full time, all the things that I put in my Became were things that I was struggling with when I started, and things that I was looking to do. So like balance, you know, communication, collaborating, you know, being authentically me, conquering my mindset, and feeling empowered in all of the things that I was doing. They were all things that for me were very, very important in how I created the podcast that hopefully I get it out by November. I'm recording. I just haven't released anything yet. I got dared to do it, and I'm going to do it. Just haven't had the chance to yet. But those were all things that I was jumping in and saying, I need all of these things, because if I don't have all these things, if I'm not at least addressing these things, they're going to come up in different ways. And they're going to cause burnout. They're going to cause me to feel tired and overwhelmed and not want to do it and want to quit, because these pillars they're not supported. They all need to support themselves, and they need to support each other in order for the podcast to be successful, in my opinion. Because you can have the tech, you can have the actual, you know, behind the scenes working fine. But for me, if you don't have that mindset, that feeling of purpose and passion, you don't have a reason for doing it. And when the times get tough, you're not going to be able to, like, the solid foundation isn't there, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. If you don't focus on like those pillars, like you said, or your own pillars on why you're doing the podcast, the minute you hit adversity,
right,
you're going to fold up shop, move on to the next shiny object. And before you know it, you're 18 years down the road and going, I should have had that podcast.
Yeah. And I love how you said your focus, because that's so important. I think a lot of people, when they get started, they're looking at, you know, people whose podcasts are, you know, million downloads. They have all this stuff, and they're comparing it to that podcast. Well, you don't know, does that person have money behind that podcast? Does that person have a team of 5 or 10 people that, you know, are doing all the things? And when you get started, it's literally just you. You're responsible for coming up with the ideas, recording, editing, publishing, promoting, marketing, all of those things. And to compare yourself, like you're comparing your beginning journey with someone's end journey, and it doesn't jive, like it doesn't work.
I love that. And it's very true. Like coming back, like comparing yourself or trying to copy someone else's style, like a lot of podcasters, I want to be the Joe Rogan. I hear that.
Yeah.
And it's like, first of all, are you the mouthpiece of a major organization of martial arts? No. So you can't do that. Are you an actor? No. Are you a comedian? No. So how are you going to be Joe Rogan and have the numbers that Joe Rogan has when you don't have majority of his foundation?
All right.
So I love that you said that as well, and iterated that you need to find what it is for you, what is your podcast, and it harkens back to some of the stuff, some of the comments other entrepreneurs said, that you have to be selfish first. Before you can help someone, you have to help yourself. You have to be selfish. So you have to be selfish with your podcast. Why are you doing your podcast? What's the reason behind your podcast? And then you can go and be like, okay, this is who I want to help.
Right.
Once you fix yourself, then you can fix, help others fix themselves. So I love that as well, that you iterated that you need to find out what
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
You have to fill yourself first. And that took me a long time to come to terms with, because I'm very service oriented, but I realized that if I'm tired, if I'm burnt out, if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't take care of anyone else. I'm too tired. I'm too run down. And it doesn't do anyone else any good for me not to take care of myself.
100%. It's true. If you can't, look, I'm just going to reiterate it. If you can't take care of yourself, can't take care of anybody. And as a mother, you know this like more than anybody else. Because if you're down in the dumps, you can't take care of your kid. You can't take care of your husband, even though you're not supposed to take care of your husband. But you know, your partners. You help each other out. You have to take care of you. Like there's some things that you can do that he can't. Like you have the soft touch, he has the rough hand touch. You know, like stuff like that. I since this show is based on investing in yourself, and we're talking specifically to digital entrepreneurs, I'm curious is if you have, because you're obviously deeply invested in the podcasting community and developing others' potential. But how do you continue to invest in your own growth and development? And is there a specific routine or pattern, procedure, something that you do that helps you continue to invest in yourself to upgrade your skills that you care to share?
Yeah. So I listen to podcasts, mental health podcasts. The two that I said earlier, Simona's is called Happiness Happens, and Anna's is called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. I love those. I try to meditate. Doesn't always work out, but I do my best. I journal. I love journaling. I love EFT tapping. That's something that I do almost every night. I taught my son how to do it. So actually he does it on the bench when he's frustrated. So I'm like modeling there.
Yes. It seems confusing. Sorry.
So it's just like you tap on different points in your body. So it's like here, under the eye, here, collarbone and under your arm, and then the top of your head. And then you just speak different things, and it's almost like recalibrating your nervous system. So I love that. It's helped out for me a lot. It's, my son is 12, and it's helped with his frustrations and, with his anxiety and stuff like that. So I'm a big proponent of that. And I love learning. I love learning about all kinds of things. Like I've taken so many personality tests. Like I've taken the Enneagram. I'm into human design, which I think is just so cool. I've done, I don't know, all the personality tests I've taken. Some of them are more accurate to me than others. And the ones that are accurate are obviously the ones I don't remember taking. But human design and Enneagram has actually been really, really like eye-opening to realize, oh shit, that's why I'm the way I am. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, and continue with my coach, the support in the community that we have there, being able to talk to other entrepreneurs and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Can you help me? Meeting other podcasters. Like I love being a guest on people's podcasts because you and I probably would never have met had it not been for a podcast.
Exactly.
And, like it's so cool. If I was to say, okay, I'm going to go visit every single person that I've been a guest on a podcast, it would take me like a couple of years to do it all because they're all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. And So I'm an introvert, but I love sharing with people one-on-one more than in a group. So I guess I'm an ambivert. People kind of drain my energy sometimes when I'm in a big group, but when I'm one-on-one, I love it. Like I love the one-on-one interaction. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've done. I don't really have a routine. I mean, there's some mornings where I wake up and I feel like journaling, and then there's some mornings where I wake up and I'm scrolling Facebook and Instagram. And it's, stay hydrated.
Very key. It's hydration.
Yeah.
Especially when
I don't exercise. Yeah, I don't exercise. I'm like, people are like, oh my God, I love to run. It's so amazing. And I'm like, if you see me running, someone's chasing me. So look how they need to run for. I don't run for shits and giggles. So,
neither do I. I like walking. I do walks. That's my method.
I do. I love walking.
Like we have that similarity, and like meditation can work on occasions, but generally it's not the.
My brain is. I'm too scatterbrained. Like to try to focus on one thing. My brain is constantly like, but what about this? But what about this? I can't just sit and be in silence. It doesn't.
My brain does that with podcasts. Whenever I walk, I'm walking. I have to walk in a residential place because if there's any businesses, my brain will go, "Oh, that's a business. Let's see if we can turn it into a podcast." That's what my brain does, and it's like, no, this is not why we're walking. We're walking for our health so that we can clear our mind and not think about work. So I've learned that I have
your passion. So of course you think about it all the time.
Oh, I love podcasting for the last.
Yeah,
I love it, but at the same time, I like a break from it from time to time.
That's true.
Because it's all consuming. Like if I let it go, I'll have 155 podcasts and I'll have no time for to live. I'll be podcasting all
that's true. That's true.
Because it is addictive.
Valid.
Yes, I need to work on my work-life balance because right now it's over in the work side. Why not we just talk about that? How did you discover your balance? Because right now you have your full-time job, you have two full-time jobs because you have your paralegal job, you have your parent job, which is obviously a full-time job, and you also have another full-time job as this podcast strategist.
Yeah.
How do you balance time for yourself? Like where does Aeoli's, freedom comes from, or where does she get to recharge her batteries?
Yeah. I think balance is something that we're always looking for. I don't think it's something that we ever reach. Every day is different. For me, I get up early in the morning, always have. So like my husband and my son aren't up until 6:30. I'm usually up by 5:30. So that's usually my time. I'm on the couch, I'm scrolling, I'm writing, I'm checking stuff, or I'm just sitting there. So that's usually my time. I tend to go to bed earlier than everyone else in my house. So that's another thing. It used to be driving to and from work when I was working. I'm not working from home, but when I was working outside, that drive was always, I'm listening to music or I'm listening to podcasts or, so I find little pockets here and there. I don't remember where it was that I heard it, but I used to think that you had to set aside 30 minutes every day and it had to be 30 minutes. And I heard somewhere that even if you just have 5 minutes that you can dedicate to yourself, that's good. Like take the small minutes here and there. And so that's how I've been able to kind of find my groove and find my balance. Like I said, some days are better than others. Some days I'm razzled and I don't know which end is up. And then other days it's super easygoing and things just flow and it's, it is what it is. But I guess just learning how to maneuver through those changes and not getting stuck on a routine. Routines have never been good for me. I've tried routines and it doesn't, I can't do, my life is too chaotic, always has been, to stick to a routine. I do the same things, just not in the same order all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. You have a routine, but it's not a set in stone routine. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I have to get about these things done. How I get them done, or when I get them done, as long as they're done is what's important. I love that.
Right.
Um, I want to snap my fingers because you're relatively still early in your entrepreneurial
Yeah.
journey.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it was about 2019, 2020 that you started investigating the world of entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself? Let's say if I snap my fingers right now, we're 10 years in advance. Aeoli, where are you? What are you doing? What is the Became method or the framework? What are we doing?
I would just like to have, let's say, 10 years. I would just like to have been able to have helped, let's say, 500 podcasters get visible, share their message, share their heart. I think for a lot of people, when they have podcasting, when they start thinking about podcasting, in my mind, that is something telling you have something to say. And the moment that you decide, oh, well, someone else has already said it, I can't say it better than they did. You're fooling yourself, because if you have it in your heart, in your intuition, whatever you want to call it, to say that, that's because there's someone out there waiting for you to say it. And when you don't, you're removing that person's chance of having a life-changing experience because you are selfish and didn't want to share that message that your spirit called you to share. So I would just like to be able to help people get past that. Paid or not paid, I don't really care. It'd be great if I was getting paid at it, but if not, and I'm just serving for the purpose of serving, I'm okay with that too. I've always loved serving people. And if that comes in a way where I'm a nonprofit or, I'm just doing it as a service to people, I'm okay with that. I don't mind.
I love it. I love it. And I'm pretty sure the people listening here, they're like, well, I want to work with her to help her because you're so giving. You're so willing to, in essence, sacrifice to make sure that they reach their goals, their success that they're looking for. And I love that, Aeoli. That's something that I can admire because I'm the same way. I want people, my goal is 100 million podcasts. So,
I love that.
yeah. So whether I do it or I help someone do it doesn't has zero consequence to me. We are coming to the end of the episode, which I hate because I love talking podcasting and the world of people with podcasting. But we're going to jump into the last question here. I have 10-year-old you beside me. She bit me, by the way. Wasn't very nice.
Well, you have some issue. She has some trauma to go through.
Exactly. I would love to know what advice you would love to hand back to 10-year-old Aeoli. What is that piece of advice you want to hand back to your 10-year-old self?
So I'll do it two ways. One, don't be afraid to do the thing. And two, stop listening to other people's expectations of you. Learn your value, learn how amazing you are and that you do have something to say, and just go out there and do the thing. Don't worry about, what's this person going to say? Don't worry about, pleasing everyone. Just do the thing that feels right for you, and the right people will support you and the wrong people will fall away, and the wrong people don't matter.
I love it. That's some great advice for any 10-year-old or anybody pretty much of any age. Aeoli, I love that. I'm going to jump off stage here. Again, I'm going to give you the floor. Let my audience know where they can connect with you, because I know a lot of people listening here want to start a podcast and they need a strategist. So the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. So if you want to reach out to me, my website has everything. So it's www.topshelf, SHELF, virtualservices.com. And I'm on Instagram, Aeoliana.Elliott, ELLIOTT. I'm on TikTok. It's Aeoliana Pod Strategy. And my Facebook group is Podcast Strategy with Heart, if you want to jump in there. And yeah, I would love to connect with you guys. Find me on Instagram, Facebook. I have a blog that comes out every Friday. You can sign up for that in my email newsletter through my website. And yeah, those are all the places to find me. I can't wait to meet you guys and see how I can be of service.
I love it, Aeoliana. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with you
Yes, it was.
and sharing our mutual distaste for the team of Toronto was fabulous. To my audience, make sure you check out the show notes down below because everything for Aeoli will be there and you can connect with her. And I highly suggest you do if you are looking for someone with more heart than they know what to do with, because
Thank you so much, Phil. That was so sweet. Thank you.
it's very true. You have been nothing but open, kind, and generous on this episode. So you do have a huge heart and it comes through. And I think a lot more people need to know that. And of course, your Facebook group with the heart makes so much sense. So definitely go check out the show notes to connect with Aeoli so that you can have a more heart-centric person in your life. Aeoli, I can't thank you enough. I am so happy that we've connected and we have
Likewise.
have this episode to look back fondly and laugh when the Leafs again miss the playoffs.
Bro, so true.
Again, thank you so much to you, to my audience for listening. And as always, remember to invest in yourselves.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.